Welcome to Survivor Not by Chance podcast. We are here live today with our special guest, Lindsey Hancock, and we're going to talk about healing yourself. A lot of times people feel they don't have the ability or the capability to heal themselves, but that's not actually the case. So today, we're going to talk about how it is possible to heal yourself, how you can use different healing modalities to get you to where you need to be. And our special guest is such an expert in this area. I cannot wait to share her journey with you all. So, meet Lindsey Hancock, the resilient force behind Raw Awakening, a cancer survivor and endo-warrior. Lindsey is not just the owner and creator, but a holistic healer with certifications in crystal healing, herbalism, and medicinal cannabis. Founded in 2020, Raw Awakening is Lindsey's mission to replace prescription bottles with potent remedies of earth medicine. Through plants, herbs, breathwork, crystals, and a growth mindset, she empowers individuals to evolve and step into their highest vibration. Raw Awakening isn't just a brand. It's Lindsey's commitment to a conscious and harmonious approach to well-being, inviting others to join her on a path of natural healing and self-discovery. Listen, when y'all hear all of the natural remedies she has, let me tell you, you're not going to want to miss this entire show. So I'm going to introduce Lindsey really quickly. Listen to what she had to say.
I think I would like to focus a little bit more on the business and what I'm doing on the business side. My story is a part of it. My story is what led me to the business. And I think it's powerful, and I think it's important to touch on that. Like, hey, this is where I came from. But more importantly, this is who I am, and this is what I'm doing now. I want people to understand what I'm doing with Raw Awakening and how they can benefit from it, how I can truly help them get back to basics and live a much more natural, healthier lifestyle, and how we can actually cure and prevent some pretty deep illnesses and sicknesses, and just the common things as well, the daily maintenance, and how it can just all be done naturally and herbally.
Lindsey, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
Well, thank you so much for being a guest here today. We're so excited to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is such a wonderful platform.
My pleasure. And viewers and subscribers, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Share this video with anyone you know who may be interested in holistic healing and how they can heal themselves. So, Lindsey, tell me, what made you feel you needed to heal yourself?
Oh my gosh. I think it was a decade of being ridiculously frustrated with specific doctors in the medical field getting the same test results back year after year, 6 months after 6 months, and just hitting roadblocks over and over again and being told that there was only one path, one thing I could do, and that path was going to be extremely limiting.
Yeah, I've had many challenges myself in regards to dealing with doctors, trying to get different treatments without getting any permanent results.
Right.
So I do know you are a cancer survivor. You are
Yeah.
also an endo-warrior. Please tell us a little bit about those two different journeys.
Yeah. So my cancer journey was what I was referring to with the decade of on and off. It started small as precancer cells on my cervix, and then I had persistent HPV. I had the HPV, the two strains that cause cervical cancer, but I also had a lot of DNA working against me. Not to mention, I was not living a holistic lifestyle. I was not doing, great things for my body. And I was continuously experiencing trauma that I now know, all the insane things that storing trauma can do to you.
Right.
So it was abnormal pap after abnormal pap, pre-cancer cells turned into cancer cells. We did so many different procedures that I just said, enough is enough. I'm not going to the doctor anymore. I'm done. It's not doing any good. And I neglected my body, which then, turned to 2 years of living life, and led to my cancer becoming stage 3.
Wow.
So then, yeah, we had no choice but to do chemo and radiation, to get rid of it. And then I remember going back for my 6-month checkup and having an abnormal pap and being told that I still had persistent HPV, and doing a colposcopy and taking biopsies of my cervix. And I was like, what is happening? So I just started to, speak to other women like in this community, and I started doing research, and the more questions I asked, the more answers I received. And I feel like we're taught not to ask questions, not to question, right? You should just trust. And while there is a little bit of an element of we need to trust, you also can't be afraid to ask questions, especially when it doesn't feel right to you.
Right.
With endometriosis, it's very similar. I had abnormal periods, very painful periods, vomiting, diarrhea, fevers, the whole 9. I, did a quick Google search, endometriosis pops up. I had internal and external ultrasounds. I was told over and over and over that I did not have endometriosis. And then last year, I kept advocating. I found a wonderful doctor who listened to me and validated me. And I had the endometriosis surgery, and she cut 3 parts out.
Wow.
So, endometriosis requires surgery, unfortunately. Yes. They are doing like some testing. I've heard of some really cool like clinical trials that Penn here in, Philadelphia, PA, is doing some cool clinical trials with endometriosis. But right now, the only way to confirm it is surgery.
Yeah.
There are things you can do to prevent it. So I'm learning about that and doing that now. But as far as like preventing my cancer, I believe that I've cured myself of HPV.
Yes.
I just had my second normal pap, and I know that is because of what I am doing.
Yes, that is so amazing. You
is.
are a survivor, not by chance. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. So I just want to talk a little bit about endometriosis, because a lot of people don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I was also diagnosed with endometriosis. And endometriosis,
it's so common.
I know it is very common. It's a very common disease that actually it can spread throughout a lot of your internal organs, and it causes a lot of pain, not only during your menstruation, but also when you're not menstruating. It causes lesions. It causes fatigue. It causes so many, like you said, diarrhea, vomiting, nausea. It basically puts your life in a state where you are decapitated. You feel decapitated at a point where you can't really do anything. You can't really move.
Right. You're debilitated. Yeah.
Debilitated. Right. So I had to have surgery multiple times.
Yeah.
And it was not easy.
Nope. No, it wasn't. And I'm glad that you said that, because one of the things I did, like a 6-part series on my Instagram after I had surgery, because my mind was blown. I had no idea, and I was not coached or prepared for the type of recovery that it was going to take.
Yeah.
What it did to me psychologically.
Yes.
I cannot imagine what people go through who experience a more intense surgery. cannot imagine. I was so naive to the process of prepping for surgery, of undergoing surgery, and then recovering from
Yeah.
surgery. I don't ever want to go through that again.
Yeah. Because the doctors, they don't tell you what to expect. And I would ask every question that I can think of.
So
And
did
they
I.
say, oh, it's just a minor surgery. It is
Yep.
a major surgery to get tested for endometriosis.
Yep.
Like major. They tell you it's minor because they don't have to do a lot of incisions,
Correct.
but it is
It's
not
minor
a
for
minor
them.
right.
Yeah.
The
It's not
recovery
open
time
heart
frame
surgery.
to heal from that surgery takes about 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. Yep. And I feel like, the part that shocked me the most was you have a nurse come into your room. The doctor, the surgeon comes into your room. The anesthesiologist comes into your room. Nowhere in there did a therapist or a counselor come into
No,
my room.
no.
No one came in to talk about my mental health. It was the procedure they were going to do, the medication they were going to put me on, or that they tried to put me on. And then it was, all right, you're going to be out of here. Have a great day.
Yeah. And for me, when I did go through the process, it was even more emotional for me because I had children at the time and I could not even take care of them because I was literally in bed all day because I was in excruciating pain.
Yep.
And then it affected my mental health in a
Yep.
way that I just felt like, wow, this is just too much. How can I do all of this?
Yeah.
And even working from home was not even an option.
Right.
People would say, oh, well, just get a work from home job. You're
Right.
in so much pain, you can't get out the bed. You think you're really going to work?
Right. You can't sit up. I have two daughters, so I definitely understand the struggle of, motherhood, and when your mental health is not where it should be. But also I'm a very active person. Asking for help is just something that
Yeah.
I've started to get comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, a year ago when I had this surgery, I wasn't who I am right in this moment. So
Right.
I felt like half of a person. I was not physically attracted to my body. I didn't recognize my body. I couldn't do the normal things that I wanted to do. I couldn't help my partner. I felt helpless
Yeah.
and gross.
Yeah.
Like it was wild, the toll that it took on my mental health.
Yeah. And it's hard because you get referred to all these different doctors and none of them are communicating with each other. So it makes it even more challenging.
Yeah.
So trust me, I completely understand. And the journey it feels lonely because a lot of people don't talk about endometriosis publicly because
No.
they used to call it, I don't know if they still call it that. They used to call it the crazy woman's disease. The reason they called it that was because
Stop it.
you would have to go to so many doctors just to get a diagnosis. They would make you believe that you were crazy, that you didn't have these symptoms.
I thought that this was normal. I thought that this was what menstruation was like. That
Hmm.
you were just down for the count, that you were sick, that it is painful. I thought that it was like a way of like almost getting you ready for childbirth because it was that
Yes,
painful for me.
every month.
Yes. And they just tell you it's normal. Your
Right.
uterine setting, it's normal. Your hormones are messed up. That's normal. They kept telling me it was normal. And I couldn't shake that feeling that it wasn't. But you're right. When you have these people who go to school for 8 and 12 years, they know way more than I do. Who am I to say, that they're wrong?
Yeah. And it's been a lot of research that has been done recently. But like
Yeah.
you said, the only way to get a diagnosis for endometriosis is to have surgery. Um, I think that's absurd with
Yep.
all the technology we have, but
Yeah. It's
basically
not a
it's
priority.
right.
They can make
Um,
more money off birth control because that's the first way that they say they can heal you.
yes.
What
And
form of
that
birth
doesn't
control
work.
would you like?
Yeah, that doesn't work. I tried it all. And the other thing is like they do have another medication. It's called Luprin. It's a shot
Yep.
that they give you. I took that and then it just
Yeah.
takes your menstrual away for 6 months. But
Correct.
that shot is literally not healthy either.
No, like I said, I found an amazing doctor. I'm so grateful for her. But she was like, all right, there's 2 medications we can talk about because this is just a temporary fix.
Mm-hmm.
Some women get 2 good years, some women get 6, it varies. And I was just like, screw that. Like, I'm not having surgery again in 2 to 6 years. I'm not taking this medication. So I started researching, what exactly is it? What can I do to regulate my nervous system?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to connect with my cycle and my womanhood and start to form that relationship with these parts of me
Yeah.
that we're not educated on? And then furthermore, like, what herbs can I take to like prevent this shit from growing?
Right.
Like, I don't think our ancestors had endometriosis. Like, I really don't.
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like that is something like, we know that there were sicknesses, right? But
Right.
I feel like these deep rooted, like, cancers and illnesses and things of that nature, I don't feel like our ancestors had them. I think that it is because of the society that we live in, the way that our food has changed, the way that our
Yeah.
environment has changed.
Yeah. It has
The trauma was there, the womb was there, but all this stuff, I feel like it's all the noise that we
yeah.
unfortunately have to navigate.
Yeah. I agree. And I think a lot of people don't realize the food that we eat and what we put in our body has a huge impact on how our bodies actually operate.
Yes.
So we're not putting the proper nutrition in our body. If we're not putting the right herbal remedies in our bodies, I don't care
Yep.
what doctor tells you not to take herbs.
Right.
I'm not a medical profession, so I can't advise you, but I suggest
Yeah.
you find some herbs that were here made for us to use.
Yes.
So let's talk about raw awakening
Yeah.
and how raw awakening came about.
Yeah. So it's funny. I went to school for fashion. I worked in the fashion industry in Philly for about a decade. And I loved that part of myself. That was my identity. It's what I was good at. It was easy. And I was managing a very cool new concept for a big box retailer. And then COVID came. I got rid
Mm,
of the cool new thing. And I found myself sitting here wondering what I was supposed to do with my life.
mm,
And well, if I meet people and I introduce myself, what am I going to say I do for a living?
right.
And I put all of my self-worth into what I did for a living.
Mm,
I realized that, one, that was a huge problem. Two, I just thought, maybe this is an opportunity. If I could do anything in the world, what would it be? And I just started writing down all these things, whether they were really far-fetched or they were, close to home. And creating Raw Awakening stood out to me.
mm,
And as I have just fully embraced this path, all of these doors have opened and all of these things start to click, right? Oh, I have always been an herbalist. I have always been drawn to these things. I have never really wanted to take medication. Oh, I've always been an advocate for women's health. Like, all these doors started to open, and it's kind of amazing when you have that raw of an awakening.
yeah. That's so beautiful. Now, with raw awakening, tell us tell us about some of the products that you sell and how they came about.
Oh, so every product has a story. And it's either something that I needed or my daughters needed or a family
Mm.
member needed. Um, but before I worked in the fashion industry, I was a ballerina.
Oh.
So I also rode horses and I was pretty active. So lots of aches and pains. I also had battled depression and I had severe migraines. So 3 things that I was
Mm,
really struggling with as a young mom, too.
mm,
Really hard to function if you have a migraine, hard to function if you're sore, and hard to function if you have depression.
yeah.
So I first started researching, like, okay, if I'm going to create this business, like, I got to make products, right? So what am I going to make? And I just started looking at like different herbs and different things that could help my 3 ailments. First thing I ever made was lavender lemonade. Supposed to be really good for like depression. I started replacing my alcohol with that.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and it is. It's delicious. The aroma, obviously that lavender gives you that calming effect. The lemon from the citrus is like nice and tingly and gets your neurons firing. And I made a sore muscle salve, and I was rubbing it on my muscles and I was feeling the difference, but I was like, maybe this is placebo. So you never know. So I started giving it to like some friends and like neighbors, people that I knew wouldn't, lie to me. And they tried it and they were like, oh, this really works. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Works for you too. Like, awesome. So I just kept like going down the path. And then I made a headache salve, which I started applying at night so that I didn't wake up with a migraine. So I was starting to figure these things out and forming this relationship like with the herbs and being appreciative of like what it was giving to me.
Yes.
And then in turn, I was able to give it to others.
Yeah.
And it's just, progressed. Like I made a breathe salve, which is a much better form of Vicks Vapor Rub.
Yes.
My friends were like, I'm, on ADHD medication. Help me. So I'm like, done. Cool. Got you. I started making a focus salve, and you put it on your forehead and your temples. And it, again, that citrus scent helps with like your brain stimulation. And then I started encapsulating, and that is where I feel like I really like found my calling. Yeah. Creating.
So tell us what encapsulation is.
Yeah. So you're actually creating a pill. So you're taking the raw herb or plant or mushroom or what have you, grinding it into a powder, like weighing it out, putting it in the capsule, and then taking it like a vitamin.
Yes, that is amazing. Not to mention, I don't know if y'all had the opportunity to see the process that it takes to encapsulate herbs. It is not easy.
It's exhausting.
It is not easy. It's very tedious.
Yes.
Now, what would you say are your highly recommended herbs where, say, for example, if someone is, has ADHD and they wanted to get some remedies from your website, what would you recommend?
Yeah. So for somebody like who's battling something, I say severe, right? You don't just have some minor aches and pains or a migraine. You are diagnosed with ADHD or depression or anxiety, right? First thing I would do is say, don't go to the website and buy anything, contact me.
Okay.
Everybody gets a free 15 minutes with me, and then we move forward. But we can accomplish a lot in 15 minutes. I look at what their current medication is, and I want them to work with their doctor because we don't want anybody making any hasty decisions.
Right.
You can't just cut these medications out of your life. If you've been on them for a while, it can be dangerous. So we talk about what that roadmap looks like, and it looks different for everyone. So I call it getting back to basics. Get back to basics.
Yes.
I have a client who I'm working with like depression, and we're slowly weaning off the depression medication. Her doctor and therapist are fully aware. We're working in the herbs. The goal is to be back to like a homeostasis state. Yeah. And then if you need the depression medication, it's there for you, but it shouldn't be the first thing you go to. It shouldn't be constantly in your body. But some basic things like turmeric, everyone should be taking it. Reduces inflammation. Like it's so good for you. Go, it's on the website. Buy it. Take one a day. Like those are easy things. I made a pain relief capsule that's way better than an Advil or a Tylenol. Like there are just natural alternatives.
Yes. I'm going to pull up one of these comments really quickly because Jeray says, thank you for joining, Queen. She says, I've tried the Zen blend and I love it. It has really helped with my anxiety. See what I'm talking about, y'all? You see?
So much. That's so amazing. I love the Zen blend. That's it's a mix of ashwagandha and reishi mushroom.
Oh yes, those are my favorites.
It's a really good one.
That is beautiful. And with these different herbs and different supplements that Lindsey provide, I do want to say a disclaimer again. Neither one of us are medical professionals. We do not claim to be medical professionals.
Nope.
We are here to help you heal holistically if that's the route you choose.
Yep.
But be sure that you are speaking with your doctor if you do have diagnoses.
Definitely. Yep. We are not here to prescribe, only to suggest.
Exactly. So I just want to say, Lindsey, thank you so much for being here. To our viewers, please go to her website. It's Raw Awakening, RAWAKEN.com, and you will see some amazing products that she has on her website. Not only will you see amazing products that she has on her website, but you also get one 15-minute free consult with her. So reach out to her about any of these different conditions that you may be dealing with, or you just want to kind of raise your vibrations, and
Absolutely.
bring yourself into a different space. She can help you in that area. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. So next week we won't be recording. We will record again on February 7th. So I'm doing the shows now every 2 weeks. I tried to do it every week, y'all. It was too much. It's hard to keep up, okay? But we will be here again on February 7th, and we're going to have the conflict queen come and talk about conflict resolution. You don't want to miss that show. So I appreciate each and every one of you for joining each and every week. Thank you so much for being here, and you all have an amazing night.